Meta means most effective tactic available. If you don't know who I am, I'm Orpheus, a 15-year-old calisthenics athlete. As of now, I can do 60 kilo dips, 40 kilo pull-ups, 110 kilo squats, learned the handstand push-up in 4 days, and working towards front lever and no dip muscle-ups. What is weighted calisthenics and street lifting? You mostly hear MPDS, which is muscle-ups, pull-ups, dips, squats, but it is a lot more than that. Like literally any movement which you do with your body weight, but add weight to it, is weighted calisthenics. Like that could be like weighted handstand push-ups, weighted squats, like barbell squats. That's weighted calisthenics. It's also part of like gym culture and like powerlifting and all that, obviously. But it is also counted as street lifting and weighted calisthenics because they do use it in competitions because we don't want to have like tiny legs, obviously. Like I squat quite a decent amount. And weighted calisthenics got me looking like this 24/7, literally no pump right now, just in like somewhat decent lighting, and I look pretty good, I think. So it is absolutely blowing up. It's insane. We have so many people starting out weighted calisthenics, like Mitchell Hooper talking about street lifting, which is crazy. We have lots of people taking on calisthenics, and the reason why weighted calisthenics is being pushed so much is because it is such a good carryover to regular calisthenics and allows you to adapt to so many different goals. What I call this is like a tree. You build your kind of tree or base of calisthenics with weighted calisthenics is how I do it. And you slowly branch out. Like you allow lots of different branches to grow and your skills are kind of the leaves on the branches. Like the size is not correct, but how it works is kind of with weighted calisthenics, you can build a super strong foundation with lots of branches, which allows you to have many different leaves and like allows them to grow easily instead of having to make just this like thin part of the tree and then build it up to specifically that thing. Like if you work, let's say, only front lever or only handstand push-up from day one of training, like it'll take you super long to get there because first off, you don't have the strength. Second, you don't have the balance. And building those two at the same time is really difficult. But if you build a strong base of like, let's say, half of your body weight dips for like reps, bro, like handstand push-ups are gonna come super easily. You're gonna be able to learn them in like multiple days, just like I did, using Grease the Groove, which I'll talk a bit about. It basically gives you super good like hypertrophy, strength, transferability of strength, which is really important, and also mobility, depending on how you like train it. If you train like weighted dips with like super deep range of motion with less weight so that you can adapt more to hypertrophy, or if you train like mobility calisthenics like knees over toes he does, that's literally weighted calisthenics because he's doing like ATG split squats, ass to grass, with weight. He's literally doing weighted calisthenics for mobility. Isn't that crazy? And it essentially allows you to progressive overload, but without any of the circus tricks of calisthenics. I mean, I'm obviously a calisthenics athlete, not to say calisthenics is bad, but many of the progressions in calisthenics, especially in the earlier stages, feel kinda like, kinda weird, like one arm push-ups and like ring push-ups, and you have so many weird kind of variations that, yes, I did do them. Yes, I did gain some strength, but just switching over to weighted pull-ups and weighted dips, like I was able to just narrow my focus down into one thing, and it is super powerful because you don't have to switch from this to this to this to this. Like I know if I'm making progress because it's not like, okay, that progression is that one, so I'm able to do 2 reps less. Does that mean I got stronger? It's just like, okay, I added on 2.5 kilos to my dip. That is progressive overload. If you want a progressive overload, not only on your weights, but also on your physique, like me, and your knowledge, really importantly, I have my free community and courses in the link in the description where I talk all about these. I have videos, tons of like info, text, and months of my learning, maybe even years at this point. But then again, weighted calisthenics is not the end-all be-all. That's not what I'm trying to say. It is not something to go all in on. But this completely depends on your goals. Let's say your goals are to be a street lifter and to move maximum weight. Obviously, you just train street lifting, maybe a bit of skills if you enjoy that, but that'll be your main thing. But if you want to excel, like in skills, for example, you'll train you'll get obviously to a decent base with a body weight, then like some decent weighted calisthenics, then you'll move on to like, let's say mostly calisthenic skills, like let's say that could be like 60 to 70% skills, and then like around 30% weighted. What I'm trying to say is weighted calisthenics should not be your excuse to only train weighted calisthenics. You should also be training for specifically that goal you want to reach. If you want to reach, let's say, the muscle up, you won't, like, you'll obviously get there at one point with weighted pull-ups, but the transferability, like, I'll show a graph, I'll try to make a graph, but the transferability, like, the more weight you start putting onto your weighted pull-up, obviously you'll get, like, it'll make the muscle up easier, but at one point the results are, like, just kind of like not pointless, but they just become so little that if you were just training the muscle up, you would have been doing better. So what I would say is you need to find a really good balance depending on your goals. This always depends on your goals. Now, talking to those who have 10 plus pull-ups and 20 plus dips, right, in one set, and you haven't started weighted calisthenics, or you want to start, or you like added a little bit of weight already, the main thing to think about is to ease into it. Adding like 2.5 kilos, 5 kilos is gonna be like amazing because you are delaying your gratification. If you add, let's say, if you can do like 15 pull-ups right now and you add 5 kilos, maybe you'll be able to do like 12 or like 10. Then you keep on adding more, like adding more weight. So if you're at around 15 bodyweight pull-ups and then you immediately go to like 3 reps with like 20 kilos, that transfer over, like the transferability won't be as good because your nervous system hasn't adapted and your body and your ligaments. So you could get injured, like, which is unlikely if you're young. But the more important thing is you will plateau eventually, like obviously eventually, but you will plateau faster than if you were to have eased into it and started off with like, let's say, just a 2.5 plate or a 5 kilo plate or like a 5 kilo dumbbell even. Just, you have to start small so that you can delay the gratification for even bigger results later. This is a trap many get into and just add like massive weight from the beginning. I have a full guide on starting weighted calisthenics if you can do 10 plus and 20 plus dips, so that you can ease into it with proper training methods, but you delay some big gratification so you reach these like huge goals. It's like honestly so fun. But always, you know, if you want the actual progress, just go to Weightasthenics link below, where I break down all of these difficult tactics into easy training courses and a community aspiring for better goals than you, forcing you to adapt every single day. I won't try to convince you that some like secrets, like 2-set method or some specific thing is like always the best method. It always depends on you. Like your body like probably works slightly different and you just have to find what works. This is the advice that I give that has worked for me, my friends, and people I've helped, but it might be different for you. And so I really recommend try things out, but always take stuff with like skepticism, but also with like open eyes, right? Open that this might be the next thing that works for you, but maybe in the next like 6 months, maybe in the next year, you might find something else that works better. So you always have to figure out like the next sort of meta. The last thing I want to say is always keep your goals in mind. Always remember what you wanted to reach and have it clear. Have goals set up for, let's say, 2025. Have goals set up for this month. Always remember what you want to reach because you do not want to get sidetracked. And what that'll do is you will like end up bouncing from method to method, bouncing from goal to goal, and you'll just reach no progress. Even though, I mean, you'll feel like you haven't made much progress. In reality, you have, but the problem is going from 0 to 1 in any like skill or movement or like weighted anything or kind of anything in life is the hardest part. So if you try to go on 0 to 1 on like 4 different things, it'll take you much longer than if you were to just have focused on that one thing, which would have been, let's say, specifically training pull-ups, dips, and squats, right? So just make sure you narrow your focus, always remember your goal, and train towards that goal. Never like think weighted calisthenics is the end-all be-all. Always train for specificity while having weighted calisthenics as a strong base. So that is it for today. See you, bro. Keep overloading.